The Nigerian Senate has passed the two remaining tax reform bills as it concludes clause by clause considerations at the plenary today. Senate on Wednesday commenced considerations of the reports on the 4 tax reform bills, passed 2 during plenary and scheduled the remaining for today. The 4 tax reform bills passed are the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill, the Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill, the Nigeria Tax Administration Bill, and the Nigeria Tax Bill. The 4 executive bills seek to transform and modernize a tax system in Nigeria. However, a conference committee has been set up by the Senate for harmonization with the House of Representatives, after which the bills will be transmitted to the President for assent. Thanks for joining us on Nigeria Today. I am Eucharia Clinton. Now, with me in the studio for the conversation is Yushau Aliu. He's an economist and a public affairs analyst. It's good to have you once again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Joining us via Zoom is Dr. Kededi Iwundo. He's the former chairman, Chartered Institute of Taxation, Abuja District. He's also an associate professor, forensic accounting at ICT University, Cameroon. It's a pleasure to have you on Nigeria Today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'll start with you, Doc. Now, the bills have been passed by the Senate. Now, why are these tax reform bills necessary at this point in Nigeria's economic journey?
The tax bill is necessary because we have a lot of obsolete tax laws. And these obsolete tax laws are also inhibiting business activities and also slowing down the tax efficiency in the country. We also have challenges of multiple taxation, where different levels of government collect multiple taxes across board. So the bill has become necessary to ensure the elimination of this multiple taxation and also bring efficiency, the collection of these taxes, as well as the administrative framework to enhance tax efficiency. And the bill is also very important because government is looking at encouraging the promotion of small and medium scale industries in the country, and also consider high net worth individuals who are not paying taxes, so that the function of tax as a redistribution of income will come there, because all over the world, taxation has been a tool for redistribution of income, where the haves will pay more for the benefit of the have-nots. So as we speak, the tax reform bill has become necessary because government is promoting small-scale industries. For example, in the tax bill, government is saying if you have a company and those companies,
that's fine,
the income, the turnover of those companies is 15 million and below, absolutely the company will not have any tax to pay. That is where we are heading to. Where your company will have a turnover of 50 million and below, that means the company will pay nothing. Currently, we have 25 million and below. So why the government is doing that is to promote small-scale businesses, so that when you start having a turnover above 50 million, you can now begin to pay tax. So the importance of the tax bill are so enormous that if I'm speaking, I'm going to take much of your time. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor. Now, we are being joined right now by... Okay, I think he will join us shortly. Now, to you, Yushau, Doctor there has told us one or two things about some highlights of some of the bills and how it affects, businesses in Nigeria. Now, what implication do these bills have for Nigeria's goal of improving revenue generation, and of course our dependence on oil?
Modern economies drive more benefit from taxations and revenue base of the economy. One of the most fundamental advantage of checking the component of taxes, checking the rates, checking the base, has to do with legislation. We just have to celebrate the passing of the bill as Nigerians, because no tax, no nations. Fundamentally, taxes are charged differently, and they are charged differently as a result of differential component of the taxation. Some are workers, some are consumers, some are business operators. But for you to have a secured environment to operate, you need certain provisions that will guarantee the safety of individuals, the safety of the investment. And that is why taxes are imposed. So if they are imposed, it depends on the rate. And also the rate would determine the multiplier implication of those taxes as far as the growth of that economy is concerned. So obviously, the tax bills that are passed now, waiting for the accent of Mr. President, are important component for a targeted $1 trillion economy. There is no way an economy will depend on borrowings. That is one important aspect why tax is very important. We cannot continue to borrow from the three tiers of government, domestically and internationally, while we're avoiding the capacity that the economy has to generate these revenues. But in generating revenue, especially in a complex society like Nigeria, you have to understand the rate you are going to charge in order not to discourage consumption, the type of goods to be exempted, the type of businesses to be exempt, as highlighted by Dr. Kenneth. Some are exempted, and obviously the distribution of this tax. This is fundamental, but the more disturbing angle after the tax, after the distribution, is the use of tax. Because one of the good principles of good tax is principle of quid pro quo, and returns benefit. So what we are expecting after the successful accent of these bills by Mr. President is for the civil society groups to begin to understand which aspect will encourage those who are to benefit directly from these taxes can now multiply into our economic development prospect.
Okay. Thank you very much, Yushau. Now we are being joined by Senator Sani Musa. He is the Senate from the Senate Committee on Finance, and of course he is also he's a chairman, Senate Committee on Finance, and also from Niger State. Now, Senator Musa. Okay, before we come to him now. Okay, Senator Musa, please, can you please adjust your picture a little bit before we bring you on? Okay, now before he comes on, we are still on you. Now, the Senator, retained the 7.5% VAT rate. Now, what does this mean for businesses and consumers in the country?
That is what we have advanced as our own contribution when the tax reform bill was submitted to the two chambers, that is the Senate and the House of Representatives. I clearly indicated that there is no need to show any progressive inclusion on value-added tax, because the value-added tax is a consumption tax, and the more you increase the tax, the more prices will go higher, and the more prices go higher, inflation rate will continue to go higher. The more inflation goes higher, the purchasing powers of individuals is going to be reduced, and therefore the desire to have a prospective economic growth will not be achieved. Therefore, maintaining the 7.5% VAT for consumption, one, we should understand that it is a federal tax. It's a tax which only the federal government, through the new established bill, can now access, and after accessing, distribute to the tiers of government.
Okay, I'll have to stop you now so that Senator Sani Musa can join us. Senator Musa, you're welcome to Nigeria today.
Thank you.
Okay, now the tax reform bills that have been just passed by the Senate, the entire four has been passed today. Now, give us some highlights of this bill, and of course, tell us what the average Nigerian should know or prepare for in light of these tax reform bills.
Thank you very much. I think what is most important is to appreciate the vision of Mr. President for first bringing the bills before the National Assembly. What this bill will translate to is economic growth for this country. If you look at the tax to GDP ratio, you will see that in the whole of Africa, Nigeria is one of those that have the lowest rate. And when you look at also to compare with OECD countries, you also see that Nigeria is really lacking. So what Mr. President did is to bring a bill that will transform the economic situation of this country. If you look at tax today, multiple taxations going on everywhere, and what he tends to achieve is to see how he can streamline, how he can coordinate, how we can administer our tax policies, how we can also do the implementations. So we are able to look at all these bills, the four bills he brought. That is the Nigerian Revenue Service, which he brought in order to change from the Federal Inland Revenue and make it a national revenue service, just like what we have in other climes, And then he also brought the Nigerian Tax Administration Bill. This bill is aimed at streamlining and strengthening our tax policies, our tax laws and legislations. And then he brought also the Joint Tax Board establishment and bill, which is to see how there will be proper coordination between all tax authorities within the country. And then also he brought the Nigerian Tax Bill. The Nigerian Tax Bill also there looks at how our revenue can be enhanced, how we can streamline it, how we can also bring in technology, and then how we can also tap in from the oil and gas, the petroleum sector. We can maximize what we're supposed to get from the EPZ, that is the economic processing zones. And I can tell you that we have done serious work on it. We had, after Mr. President presented it last year, we have had so much engagement. These bills have caused a lot of controversies. I'm not going into the details of the bill at the moment, but I'm just giving you a highlight of how it goes. And when we received this bill at the committee level, we looked at it very seriously, and we tried to engage consultants, experts, and even lawyers to look at all the clauses that came with the bill. The proposed provisions that are all in there, the interpretations given to everything, and then the definitions, we all look at them. The schedules, we all look at them. And then we start working by calling for a public hearing. At the public hearing, I think we had more than 76 MDAs, civil societies. Let me just make it say it's stakeholders, more than 76, and we gave every one of them the opportunity to speak. We had a 2-day public hearing, and after the public hearing, we went for a retreat, which took us about 5 days retreat. And during this retreat, we were able to look at all the bills clause by clause, and we did the needful. What I will tell you from what has been passed today, we are going to have the Nigerian Revenue Services establishment. This bill will create Nigerian Revenue Service, which will be imagine the functionalities of when signed, the defunct Federal Inland Revenue Services. That is when assented. And then all the activities, all the responsibilities that used to be with the FIRS now will continue with the Nigerian Revenue Service. And in so doing, the Nigerian Revenue Service will be administered. We created for corporate governance, and looking at the fact that more revenue will be coming in through them, the channels of revenue that were proliferating everywhere will be blocked. All the leakages will be blocked. So much revenue will be coming into Nigerian Revenue Services. And then when we start operating the one single window system, there also single window, we know that there will be so much revenue going in. So what we decided to do in order to enhance corporate governance, we said there should be an office for a non-executive chairman, and then we have executive vice chairman. And then we shall have nothing less than 6 executive directors who are going to manage and be the now coordinating directors. Why we said that not less than 6? At the moment, at the FIRS, they have about 8 directorates. So by the time we have the executive directors, now each of them can be able to man those directorates.
Thank you very much. We'll come back to you on some of the issues you've raised there. Now, Dr. Iwundu, earlier you mentioned in the past we've had multiple taxation, and of course we've also seen a lot of anomaly in that regard, talking about tax system, and of course corruption and the rest of them. Now, looking at these bills, having studied them, what are the safeguards in place to prevent the misuse and of course corruption that we've witnessed in the past?
Okay, thank you very much. The bills, one of the bills is Joint Revenue Board Service Bill, and that is where the FIRS and the 36 states Internal Revenue Service are coming together to ensure the harmonization we are talking about. For instance, we have a situation where the federal is collecting VAT, value-added tax, and some states are also collecting consumption tax. And you agree with me that VAT means consumption tax. So it is purely double taxation, where the states are collecting consumption tax and the federal is collecting value-added tax, which is also consumption tax. So in this Joint Revenue Service bill, there should be harmonization. There will be harmonization where the collection will be done where you don't allow the local government to collect their own taxes and levies, the state to collect their own taxes and levies, and the federal will collect their own taxes and levies. Prior to this bill, we have the local government collecting about 21 taxes and levies. You have the state collecting about 23 taxes and levies, and you have the federal government collecting about 11 taxes. So at the end of the day, by the time you sum it up, it becomes so difficult for a business to operate. But with these bills coming in place, the harmonization will be in place to ensure that you don't have taxpayers being overburdened when it comes to tax collection. Although the effort of that harmonization was being in place before the bills came, but the bills has facilitated that harmonization. We also want a situation where the federal revenue will also be the driver. That's they call the Nigerian Revenue Service, Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill, where it will collect taxes from everybody. Why they call it Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill is that it's not only collecting, formally when it's called Federal Revenue Service, it's like it's collecting revenue only for the federal government. But this time around, they have to remove the word federal and call it Nigeria Revenue Service because it is collecting revenue from everybody in the federation, including the states and local government. So that's why the name has been changed to Nigeria Revenue Service Bill. So by that collection, it will go a long way to limit this multiple taxation and also ensure that it is shared accordingly. However, some of us has the apprehension in some of the key areas in terms of when it comes to fiscal federalism. Fiscal federalism, where states are being empowered to collect their revenue. But again, because if you allow states to collect their revenue, this multiple taxation will come in place. So the federal government thinks that the best way is to ensure that you have a Nigerian Revenue Service Bill that will collect for everybody. And at the end of the day, the government will now share based on however they want it to be shared. Like in VAT collection, there's a vertical allocation and there is horizontal allocation. In vertical allocation, you share according to the levels of government. And in horizontal allocation, you share based on certain indices. For instance, based on what has been pushed up to for president for him to get the asset, vertical allocation is giving federal government VAT of 10%, the states 55%, and the local government at 5%. That's a vertical allocation on VAT sharing. In horizontal sharing, the shared population 20%.
Thank you very much, Dr. Iwundu, for that analysis. Now, earlier on, you mentioned something about, not just the tax, the people paying tax, but they should have the benefit of the tax. Now, how can the government balance the revenue generation and the economic growth?
You see, based on the new bill, if it becomes law, it's going to be a shared responsibility, not just federal. The federal will discharge the responsibility according to the exclusive list. The same thing applies to the state and also the local government. Recently, local government got the autonomy. So if you are to share the responsibility, looking at the formula of sharing, as explained by Dr. Kenneth, if you take it horizontally, you look at the proportion at which each is to benefit. But centrally, what is fundamental is that securing the land, securing the investment is more fundamental. Securing jobs is also fundamental. Taxpayers, the reason why you pay tax is because you have made a choice. You choose what you consume to drive satisfaction. And it is the cost of your satisfaction that you are paying price as well as tax. So definitely, relatively, we are expecting, after it has become law, the actors will also work harmoniously. And not only working, we are expecting efficiency. And not only efficiency, we are expecting whatever that is being generated as revenue from taxation will stop the local government, the state government, and the federal from further borrowings.
Thank you very much, Yushau Aliyu, an economist and of course a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for coming to share your thoughts with us. And also we had Senator Sani Musa from Niger State, and also Chairman Committee on Finance, And also we had Dr. Kennedy Iwundu. He's a former chairman, Chartered Institute of Taxation, Abuja District, and also associate prof, Forensic Accounting, ICT University, Cameroon. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on the program and sharing your perspective with us. And thank you for being part of the program. I am Bikaria Clinton. Goodbye.